Good afternoon, everybody. We have now the topic plastic again here on the stage, and how to make plastic packaging circular. That is a question that we asked several times, but this time we will have here a high-level panel, in particular from the small and medium-sized industries, and we have converters on the stage, we have a plastic recycler on stage, and we have on stage the chairwoman of the central agency, the packaging register, Zentrale, Stelle. And I would like to moderate now and we guide you through the topic with some questions. So welcome also to you from my side. Let me just introduce you to the auditorium. So thank you very much for coming. Gunda, Rachut. You are the chairwoman of, as I said, the Zentrale Stelle, means in English the Central Agency Packaging Register, and you oversee the compliance with Germany's Packaging Act, and in future also the compliance with the packaging waste regulation. So that is your job, and we just said it is great that the three converters, which I will introduce later, are sitting in the middle of somebody who is Andreas Vogt. I start then with you. You are the managing director of Vogt Plastic, a German company specializing in recycling plastic waste into high-quality regranulates. And I learned the word not granules, but granulates, but regranulates, where the recycling is already a part of. So thank you very much for coming. Then I jump to you, Matthias. Matthias is the managing director of Pöppelmann, a family-owned company specialized in innovative plastic conversion solutions, including a big portion of recyclates. And that's the reason why you're sitting here. I continue with Georg Pescher. Small and medium-sized, maybe for Alpla, not as a big medium-sized company, Alpla. You are managing director of Alpla for Germany, Belgium, and Netherlands. And Alpla is a leading global packaging solution provider. Yeah, and then, last but not least, Jens Stadter, CEO of the Jokey Group. And Jokey Group is a leading manufacturer of plastic packaging solutions as well. So the solution providers are in the middle of the manufacturer of recyclates and under control or under control of the central agency. So that, I think that is a good combination here on stage. And I would like to start with a question here that is in particular of high interest as we now have the packaging and packaging waste regulation in force. And the question is, I think I start with you, Gunda. What do you expect from it for your organization and your work with the, against the new regulation?
10 years high workload.
Can we open the micro, please? Please try it again.
Yeah, now you can hear me? Oh, perfect. I expect 10 years high workload. Everything is changing very detailed, very complex. So we have a lot of work.
Yeah, but of course you were prepared as the regulation does not came overnight, but has several years, I would say preludium. Yeah. Okay, but it's high workload for the implementation now.
Yes.
Yeah? I would like to ask the converters about what they expect from it. May I start with you, Matthias?
A lot of work, for sure. At the moment, a lot of questions and not sufficient answers in many cases. Some of the things like design for recycling and so on just confirm something that we've been doing with our customers for many years anyhow.
Yeah.
But now many of the delegated acts are still outstanding. Food contact packaging, especially on the polyolefin side, brings more questions than answers. So at the moment, a lot of our customers ask, what should we do now to be safe for the PPWR? And our answer in many cases is, it depends right now. So that's a little unsatisfactory, of course. Monomaterial, there's a lot of things we can prepare, but we are also anxiously waiting for the last open decisions, so we really know what to focus on.
Yep. Just an additional question also then afterwards to the others. Do you have specific measures how to for improved recyclability of the products for your plastic packaging? Any ambitions for that, or is this depending on what the customers ask you?
We've done a lot of work together with our customers over the last years to always go to monomaterial, ideally at the moment monomaterial polypropylene, because at the moment we ourselves need the material afterwards. And we've started to call it more design for circularity than design for recycling, because the point is not only to just fulfill a checklist, but the point is to get material in the end that we can use ourselves again.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, the big task we have for the next years, to just get more good material into the recycling stream that we can then reuse.
Thank you. Asking you, Georg, also in addition, what is your position about it? What do you expect? And where do you see obstacles that need to be overcome?
Yeah.
Very close. Keep the microphone close. Yeah, that's
okay.
good.
I basically can confirm what Matthias said is that there are many challenges, but if you look on the PPWR in general, the idea behind it is a good idea, but how it was put into place and which regulations there are, this is really a gap, a disconnection between the reality, what is possible, and what is written down and communicated. The downside of the regulation is that there will be much more bureaucracy, as with every regulation that is put into place, and it does not solve any issue which is really out there in the market. We will not have more recycling, we will not have more recycled content, we will not have more closed loop solutions by more and more reporting. For us as companies, there will be more companies coming to us asking for certifications and so on and so forth. We will have to do more audits, we have to pay more money and so on and so forth. And in the end, this makes no product better, and it makes every product more expensive for the end consumer at the end. So therefore, what we are hoping for in the future is that whatever happens with the PPWR, it's more related and connected to this is the reality, those are options that can really promote recycling and recyclability and gives a fair chance for all packaging, and mainly independent from the packaging material, that we can develop plastic recycling in a further around the road.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Jens, you stated, or your company states, grey is the new green. I think you like the PPWR, or what do you think about it?
I would say, as my speakers before said, I think it's good to have a regulation. It's good that it's a regulation or directive, that Europe is forced to do something together. I will be very curious how it will be executed. Switch to perfection is a German matter. I don't know how other will follow. We started 1991 using mono materials, so for us it's really nothing new, so I don't see many obstacles to go for recyclability. I see really more the situation, how to change, especially in food contact materials, how we can achieve those targets, especially the percentages in 2030, knowing that mechanical recycling is possibly right now the only possibility, as you also do that. On the other hand, I think we have to start now. We cannot wait. It's only 5 years, and with all the delegated acts, what we are still missing, what we don't have the answers, time is running. And my shareholders, my owners, and I think also my customers wants to have answers, and we cannot give appropriate answers right now. And that is a little bit a pity at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Andreas will get a special question for those who are making regranulates. If we listen to what has been stated here from the stage in several presentations, also on the innovation stages, that what is the future expectation about the plastic recyclate volumes? Because we learned from plastic manufacturers from a study, BKV and Convergio, that they expect that in the year 2030 there is a 30% gap in the availability of recyclates, or even in an advanced scenario with some investments there is a 10% gap. On the other hand side, those who collect plastic waste say that they sit sometimes on bales of material and nobody is buying it. You are in between those and the customers, and maybe also the forecast of these what plastic manufacturers say what will happen with the availability of recyclates in 2030. What is your position to that?
Thank you. I think if we look at 2030, there will not be a single market for recycled material for packaging. I think the market will be divided along the lines of technical feasibility of mechanical recycling. Everything what is possible mechanically will be in a way available for a more or less reasonable price, and everything what is necessary to be recycled in a chemical way, we don't know exactly, do we? So the market which we can see as the technical feasibility we can see is in the PET bottles, of course. We can see the polystyrene. We can see technology for polyolefins in non-food contact. Everything else is getting difficult.
Okay, so coming back to the converters here, and maybe we start with Jens. What is the current proportion of recycled plastic in your products? Can you give us a number? Do you have a target that goes in the direction of perfect 100%, or is this not feasible? And by when would you be at a certain target?
So looking to the PCR material, I have to divide into food and non-food contact materials. So my buckets are going 50% to the construction industry and 50% to consumers, like whether it's ketchup, yogurt, whatever. So I take that out because I have not yet a solution outside the chemical recycled material which I can use. So that said, we had already a target for 2025 to have in the non-food contact material 30% PCR. We are not there yet. We will be maybe at 15% of the total consumption by end of the year. I would say I would like to have more PCR, but it's a little bit also a mindset of my customers. If I see how many buckets are still going out of my factory, which could be PCR content, and still are having virgin, it's the mindset of my customers.
The micro does not work. We take another one.
Okay, no problem. Yeah. In 2018, we started with the slogan "Crazy New Green," and after that, I could see that even the paint manufacturers, they changed a lot. But I think it's still from country to country different. 100%, by the way, we can do that. PCR material, nevertheless, as we all know, it's never 100% just yellow bag regrind or material, because you have additives and other things. So we are also certified after EN 15343, so can give very precise the content, what is inside. So we want to increase, but I'm talking mainly about mechanical industry. If you talk about the food industry, we're working on different solutions right now.
Georg, which kind of challenges do you see? Do you have a target, by the way, for the company yourself? Or?
Yeah, for the company, for Alpla globally, we have a goal of a recycling content overall of 25%. We are currently at 23%, and we are on a very good way to achieve that target. If you look on the proportion of recycling material that we use here in Central Europe, the recycling content, independent if it's PET or polyolefin materials, is closely below 50%, so 48 and 47 for those different materials. But the issue is, and that is what Jens said, is if you look for polyolefin, this is all non-food packaging, and if you would like to bring and develop recycling content further on, we need solutions to have food-grade polyolefin materials qualified and released, and we need the EFSA and the EFSA and DG Santé in Europe to give regulations, objectives, targets, methods, simulation procedures, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, we will be stuck, and all the nice goals which are set, they will not be fulfilled. So we expect something from the authorities to get clear rules, clear targets, and also be open to bring this recycling content into reality.
Thank you very much, Matthias. Pöppelmann has 4 different business units. They might differ in the opportunity to use recyclates or even what customers demand. So what is your answer to the question, where are you in respect to certain targets or levels of recyclates?
Our targets that we set at the time had a 2025 horizon, and at the time were wildly over-ambitious. We're not quite there. We will not quite get there at the end of 25, but we're now at roughly 50% recyclates from our overall consumption. So if we look at our material mix, and this is across all the divisions.
Okay. Yeah.
It's 50% fossil base, 40% post-consumer, typically yellow bag and the equivalent European systems, and 10% post-industrial recyclates. If we look at our different fields of business, on the horticultural side, we are more or less done. Next is automotive, actually. We have a high share, even post-consumer recyclates from the yellow bag and automotive applications. I think in the overall discussion, it's easy to overlook that, but there's a huge potential and an interesting aspect, because from the packaging, we get fairly young material that we can get into long-lived applications. So also ecologically, that makes a lot of sense. And then we have some areas where at the moment it's impossible. Food contact sensitive on the polyolefin side is still a problem. Whether we'll be able as an industry to achieve that by 2030 remains to be seen. And pharma-medical regulatory, but also in fact in terms of product safety, is even further away on the horizon. What we've set for ourselves and what we believe would also make sense for the overall industry is, let's not start from the top, because that takes the most effort, the most energy. But let's start with the applications that can take a lot of material. And our goal ultimately is to substitute the maximum amount of virgin by recyclates. Because ecologically, it doesn't matter whether it's the one or the other application. It's important that we substitute virgin material by recyclate. And that's kind of the way we've walked so far.
You brought examples where the plastic from one part, the yellow bag or yellow bin, is used then for automotive industry as PCR. That is directly leading to the topic of closed loop, open loop, because this is a good example for an open loop. Some people say, okay, there could be also the idea of closed loops. I know there are examples for closed loops that might not be for everything, but Jens, I think you might have an example for a closed loop, and but you might see also the limitations of a closed loop that cannot be scaled to everything. Or what do you say to that?
Yeah, I think basically it's depending on the quality and availability, as you said already, and we have started with some partners to collect industrial buckets in containers where we have mass consumers, not in the private households. That is Gunda's area especially. It's more like really where we have hundreds of buckets, where you have big construction areas. So we try to get them collected through our partner, and we regrind them and use them, because that's for us the gold. Because look into the yellow bag, the quality, sorry to say, that is getting worse and worse, also with the composites, and we need really high quality of material that the buckets survive on the way to the customer. Otherwise, we lose the material inside. That is not the way of packaging. We did it for the mechanical side, and right now we're starting also for the food crate side. So we're working here together with a very good recycler, with some institutes together, and we try also to close the loop for food contact materials coming from canteens, which are also pure than more like yogurt and other things, mayonnaise. We try to recycle them and get also, hopefully, depending on the limbo stick of EFSA, an EFSA approval, and can close the loop also here. It needs to be scaled, but I think we have to start. We cannot wait, and it takes time, and this is the reason why we started some years back doing that.
Let's stay with the word EFSA, so European Food Safety Authority, for those who might not know it. They say that for food packaging, only 5% of the recyclate can be taken from those materials have been in contact with non-food packaging, so what's typically in the yellow bin. On the other hand, we know, and I would like to start with you for the topic. Sorry?
What you just said, this is only true for PET. If you talk for polyolefins, it has to be 99% from something like that. This makes it totally unrealistic.
Okay. Because then we have the discrepancy maybe in the year 2030 when the PPWR says 10% of for food packaging should come from recyclates and from PCR, of course. So what is with this discrepancy? Is this possible, or does it need a change in the EFSA policy?
I think it's difficult for the polyolefins, and so for my wish it was that they discussed it before they made this regulation, because now if you look on the market, there are a lot of change to PET for products where it's not necessary. So this is environmentally not friendly if you change, for example, a shampoo to do it in a PET bottle, and then it's not food, but. It was my wish to discuss it open, because a closed loop is not in every case the most ecological way. You can also use it for pipe, and it's ecological. So my wish is to have an open discussion. We have to increase recycling, there's no question, but perhaps to discuss it a little bit more open and more on a scientific base. Not on a feeling base. A closed loop might be better.
Yeah. Any other opinion here?
Yes, from my side,
Andreas.
please.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm very grateful to Professor Blank, who explained this morning to us why it's smart not always to think in closed loops. Mm-hmm. And this is a very good case if we look at Article 7, who asks for 10% of recyclate in polyolefin food packaging, which is not possible in a mechanical way. So that means that we don't know the price at the moment. We also don't know the footprint. So I think that because of this regulation, this very good recyclable packaging might be in danger. And we as a recycler, we are not sure, or we would be very sad if the recyclability of the yellow bag mixture would be lower and lower because of such a regulation. That would be really sad, and it would be not the intention of the European Commission, I think.
Mm-hmm. Coming back to the potential plastic gap in the next years, I heard discussing this here with participants of the conference that might this gap might be closed not only in Europe or by Europe for Europe, but there might be some, for example, Chinese companies that are already starting, or they are preparing to deliver from the outside something that has at least is declared as recyclates, PCR recyclates, and that will then flow into the European market. What do you think about that? Or do you expect that? Any opinion for that?
Well, I don't know. Of course, it would be if there is such a big gap like it is now announced. It's perhaps good if some recyclates come in, but we have to hope, or we have to somehow control that it's really recyclate and that some standards are considered. But this could be a way to close that gap everything is now afraid of. Everybody is afraid of at the moment of that gap. I think we don't have to be afraid of, because there might be some imports, and because there will be developments in capacities in mechanical recycling in that direction.
Yeah. Jens.
Yeah, maybe looking to Europe again, we have not even started in Europe to collect in an appropriate way. So we should start here and not look to China. Mm-hmm. So that said, I think there's a lot of potential to have here the loops, the closed loops. And I think one of the things you just said is the open loops, right? So if automotive is coming and stealing, in a bracket, some material from those loops, it will be a battle, a competition, right? And as we all know, I think it's even now some discussion in Brussels to reduce the amount of recycled materials for cars now, because I think most of the cars are not recycled in Germany, they go somewhere else. Yep. So I think first of all we should look to Europe and shouldn't consider China. We have enough potentials and enough countries which can give the material because it's there. It's just not collected and sorted.
Please, Matthias.
Maybe just a few additional thoughts. The automotive industry is a very good case, and we are still getting electronics in some other industries. If the European Union puts out their quotas that will not be able to achieve, the question of prioritization will be extremely critical. Otherwise, the highest priced wins. And for packaging, it will be difficult to compete with the automotive industry if we talk about possible material prices. So I think that is something that we have to keep an eye on. As far as non-European materials are concerned, personally and from a company perspective, I would say if we are wanting to strengthen the European circular economy, how we do that by saying we get recyclates from somewhere else in the world that may or may not have come from good sources, kind of escapes me. I think we need to make sure that the incentives are set for strengthening the material sources here from Europe, only incentivizing what comes from Europe, and finding very good mechanisms that we're not cheating ourselves out of the quotas with material from dubious sources. I think that's a risk that we just need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, but that would need some investments, obviously, as we need more mechanical recyclates.
And the time is of the essence. If we look at the machinery that needs to be installed for the upscale that is not even planned, there's a limited number of people that can even install the machinery, that can build the machinery and so on. So the time to start is a few years ago, but now is the second best time.
But it needs investments that have to be done, and the investments would be done by itself if there is recyclates would be, let's say, economically preferred versus virgin material. But obviously, the different situation is the case. So recyclates are more costly than virgin material. But if consumers pay for it, it's fine. But the question is, what will this stay in that way in the future, and what it needs to, let's say, get the engine started, or do we need only to say to consumers, you get a better world with circular economy, please pay for it?
Yes, and sometimes that works, but that alone is not the answer. And in terms of incentivizing mechanical recycling, we need to think in two time zones, is what we often say. In the 2020s, we have a gap in demand. And that's what's keeping the recyclers from investing the billions of euros that need to be invested in infrastructure. In the 2030s, we'll probably have a gap in supply. So what we need now is quick measures. Measures that will only take effect in the late 20s are a waste of time. That is not needed anymore.
We don't have to invest billions, but millions if we recycle in a mechanical way. And I just want to point out that we just did it in Rheinfelden at Vogt Plastic, that we are putting into function a new compounding plant which is tailored for the packaging market, for producing compounds for the packaging market, recycled compound, and it starts in these weeks. So some investments are taking place.
Gunda, do you have an opinion for that, or a perspective?
I agree with the converters. In here we have front runners. This is very optimistic to look on them, but all they know that you need a lot of experience to put recyclates in packaging, and it's years to create a proper packaging which has this market. So this is what Matthias said. We need now the actions, and it's weird because a lot of packers, fillers, they look on this and say, okay, we don't know how to do it, but they don't react, they don't look what they can change. And this is for me, I look on this and say it's weird because you have to act now.
Let's move to another topic. Your organization is striving for a level playing field. That is one of your targets. And how do you evaluate the situation for plastic packaging in this context, comparing it with other materials?
We just look in a scientific way, and plastic packaging is also in many topics a front runner. If you look on the recycling targets, mechanical recycling is increased so much in the last few years. And if you look on other packaging materials like composites, they're going down. They're in fact, if you look on the market, they are a little bit more than 30%. So there is not really a level playing field, because the consumer likes to have packaging which feels a little, has a look and feel like paper. It's not paper, it's composite. So now there is no level playing field about the consumer. Mm-hmm. If we look on the real facts, plastic packaging is a very good performer.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Yeah. And an additional question. In the direction of standardization, because we all hope that we have European legislation and it should be the same in all countries. And I learned from a presentation some weeks ago from you that you will start to do that, but at the time being, for example, not all countries have a central agency, but you are going in the lead to help that. What else do you do for harmonization and standardization?
When I looked first time on the PPWR, I thought, okay, this is so complicated and we need a common idea what is written in there. We need harmonization about the regulation, about the idea. So we start a network, the European Packaging Register Network. In the moment we are, I think, 13 countries, member states. And we discuss every month the topics and say, okay, who's the producer? This is the first time, or who's the manufacturer? If we don't have a common idea, it will not work. So we try to get a harmonized idea of PPWR and also to have a harmonized idea about every main topic. To make it easy to be compliant, because there are such a lot of regulation, and it needs to be easy for the packers, for the brand owners to fulfill it. If not, then the Chinese companies will be the first, but it's not it's an ecological disaster perhaps. So we have to work on it.
Thank you. Do you and your customers, do you hope also for the benefit of more standardization, or can you live with different demands if your customers are also, at least in Europe or even global, come to you with different demands in different countries? How you deal with that? Who would like to start? Matthias.
Even in Germany, as I said, there's a lot of open questions. But of course, if we look at the European level, it's just a lot of research and the frustrating realization that what's supposed to be the same is oftentimes not the same. So we are definitely hoping for Gunda and her team to try to help the others come to a similar system, because the bureaucracy and the insecurity is not helping anybody. It's just making business more difficult.
Yeah. Any additional remarks?
Yeah, everything what we discussed is under the European Green Deal, so I hope it will be European-wise standardized. Yeah. Otherwise, we don't need a European Green Deal. We can go back to just German or Spanish deals. Nevertheless, of course, every country, depending on the temperature environment, has different requirements to the products. But nevertheless, I hope that we have standards, because it makes my life easier, also with my R&D department, to develop in the right direction. So it would be good to have it, but it must be realistic, it must be executable. Otherwise, we don't need fairy tales.
Yeah. Coming to another topic, maybe controversial discussion, if possible or not. A big source of post-consumer recyclate is of course the collection of the lightweight packaging. That we know that is very well organized. Many people at home would think that they can do everything perfect, but 50% of the plastic that is used in a household is leaving the household not by the yellow bin or yellow bag, but it goes into the residual waste. As this is, for example, my toothbrush is something that I cannot put in the lightweight packaging, but I have to put it in the residual waste bin. So that is around about 50% of plastic that could be collected in a better way. But of course, it would need to change from the top. And as I learned in a discussion with you, this organization, what is collected and how, is something that is done local or that is organized locally. I know your answer, but would you? No, you change. Okay, that is good. Which is your position to that topic? Could we, let's say, with a new way, start a new initiative to come to that plastic material?
So I thought about it, but it's not. What do you think? The 50% is not in the black bin, but it's a lot of bulky waste. So it's not a question of collection, perhaps. And we look on Sweden. In Sweden, they included the incinerators in a very efficient way in the emission trading system, and they pay 120 euros, and they're all installed pre-sorting plants before the incineration. So they get out the plastic and give it to another plant. And so I think this might be a good idea, because in bulky waste, you can't really make a separate collection, for example, for plastics. But if you make it in this way, it will be efficient, it will be cost efficient, and you have a resource for recycling. So this might be an idea to look on Sweden, because there's a success model.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Excuse me, may I just answer to Gunda? In this case, Gunda, I don't agree. I don't think it's a good idea to pick the plastic out of the grey bin before incineration. I think that a collection system, we have different collection systems. We have a collection system for PET bottles. And I think it's very important for PET bottles to be collected in a separate way, without any cross-contamination. That's very important for them to be successfully recycled. We have the yellow system. The yellow system is really good for plastics. Plastics are of low density, and they have they tend to take in, like, how do you call this word? There's like migration taking place into the plastic. And it's very important not to be in contact with the grey waste, with the humid grey waste, because on one side you ask for like food contact or contact sensitive material, and on the other side we want to take out the material from the grey bin. That's a contradiction. There's also some scientific evidence on that. There was research being done in the last years in Norway, because they have those sort of thoughts in mind as well. And we can see that the toxicology is problematic after you put the plastic in a grey bin. So I really want to point out that the yellow system is good for plastics, and from the technical point of view, it's smart to collect all plastics coming from households in the yellow system. That's my opinion. Thank you.
There was a misunderstanding. I don't talk about the black bin. I talk about bulky waste, because in the black bin there is no much plastics in it, and there are also technical plastics, so it's not really a resource for plastic recycling. But in the bulky waste, there's a lot of bad. They are too big for it in the size, too big for the yellow bin. So that's why I mean, perhaps it could be an idea to make a pre-sorting for the bulky waste, because there I think, suppose there is a lot of plastic we could be recycled.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
We have only time to cover two topics very shortly. One last question that we do at the end, and one thing I would like to open up for your envision. Is there something that you see on the recycled technology on the horizon? That is additional technologies that could help us, like the bunch of different chemical recycling technologies or other advanced mechanical recycling technologies that can help, and who should invest and who will invest, who is interested in that? Any ideas about that, what could come in the next future, technology-wise? Georg?
Does it work?
Yes, works.
Basically what there is, and we have to accept this, what we have seen over the last decades is that independent if it's chemical recycling or if it's mechanical recycling, there is innovation. And this will lead to better sorting, to better vacuum technologies, and to better products in the end. And whatever comes in regards to regulations, it has to be open that technologies develop further on, and we get much better recycling materials out of the same material stream that I had before. When I started working in the plastics industry, which is now nearly 20 years ago, the first PET recycling materials that we got from the PET bottles, they were horrendous. They were yellow, they were brown, it had black dots in there, and so on and so forth. And now 20 years later, this is the gold standard in recycling. And everybody is fighting for those materials. Like what Matthias just said before is the car industry, they would like to have this material to put it into car seats because it's there and it has a high quality. And this is what is there and what has to be reflected in whatever kind of regulation comes. There will be innovation, there are people working on it, but what there is the legislative framework for the future. It has to be open for new solutions.
Okay, thank you very much. The last question. So we have 2 minutes, a short answer from all of you. With the PPWR in force, directly discussion starts about the next PPWR 2.0 and what should be in. And imagine that a very good mother is approaching you and saying to you, hey, you have one wish free. So, your last statement, what is your one wish for PPWR 2.0? So, I would like to start with you, Gunda.
Okay, my wish is that we will rethink. We have a lot of regulatory law in the PPWR, and that means a lot of enforcement or lack of enforcement. That means lack of competition. So I would suggest to rethink and think on economical instruments like taxes, duties, funds, models. But if you make it expensive, that you won't have the behavior, then they won't do it. So it regulates by themselves. So this is my wish, more economical instruments.
Thank you. Matthias.
If I had one wish, it would be to allow for a more efficient allocation of recyclates by taking out the food contact sensitive quotas for non-PET, basically. Yeah. And at the same time increasing the hurdle for the rest, so the incentive remains the same, but the material can go where it can actually technically go.
Okay, well noted. Yeah, Georg.
Yeah, whatever that comes for next PPWR, first of all, it should be fact-driven, whatever there is in regards to regulations, and not based on perceptions. And it should be have a level playing field independent from the material.
Thank you. Jens.
I would ask a ferry for 2 wishes. No, just kidding. My wish would be paragraph 29 should be revised. What is the combination between sales packaging and transport packaging? And I don't understand still why we make a differentiation between flexibles, carbon, cartonnage, and plastic. I think plastic bashing is over. We should be realistic. What is a packaging material? And it should be, handled in the same way packaging is packaging.
Andreas, you have the last wish.
Thank you. I'm happy that we have 5. So altogether we had 5 wishes. That's better than only 1. And I agree to all your wishes and very much to Matthias Lesch. I would have the same wish as you. Even though I'm a recycler, I'm on the exact opposite position. You're a converter. But I would ask for the same wish. Do not put polyolefin packaging into food contact by this regulation. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of you and a big applause. Thanks for your openness and the new insights. I think that is a good movement then in the future of plastic packaging. Thank you very much. So with that, we leave the stage on time.
Amazing!
Yeah,
Thank you so much.